Women aren't failing because they lack any talent. They're not moving forward because they're not brilliant. They're stuck because they lack a vision. They lack that clarity of how I'm going to get from A to Z. And they stall. And they stall because I've really identified this. I've worked with thousands of women because they're hiding something, or they're proving something, or they're completely exhausted from carrying the whole damn thing by themselves. Well, hello, my beautiful spiritual hustlers, and welcome back to the podcast. You guys, as always, I am so blessed to be with you. I am your host, Jess, and this is the place. If you know, you know. If you're new, welcome here. You're down for a ride, girl. You've come for the ride of your life, pun intended, because you know what time of the year it is. We're talking all about the magic of the horse. And before we get into that today, you guys, I have lots to say about this and how this pertains to you, specifically you. I just want to thank you for being here. And whether it's the Lunar New Year, or we're talking about, I don't know, aliens, or we're talking about crystals or Akashic records, or all things breath work, like we go woo here on this podcast. We talk all about the spiritual magic that each and every one of us are frankly a part of. We're pieces of the divine source, intelligence, great spirit, Mother Earth, Gaia, prime creator, however you want to define it. We are all our own unique expressions of it, but we are connected to it. We are all one with it. And of course, we've got to talk about the hustling side of our lives, because we live here in a 3D reality where we have to make moves to make money to pay our bills. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's something to celebrate, to really embody as a woman in her power, leading a brand, leading a business, leading a team, leading a movement. And we combine those two aspects of ourselves because they're really not separate. And that's the whole spirit of the show, the spiritual hustler. And so thank you for being here. I'm honored. And if you don't know yet, we are running an incredible giveaway on the Spiritual Hustler podcast. You guys are all obsessed with my swag. I've got all the swag in the world for you. I want you to wear it. I want you to rock it. I want you to put it on your beautiful bodies and go throughout the world that you live in and show people who you are through the expression of the messages on this beautiful swag that I have for you guys. I've got sweatshirts, I've got beanies, I've got light worker baseball hats. Everyone's wanting a piece of this. And guess what? You're in the right place. The only place to get it is the podcast. I'm not giving it away anywhere else. And it's super simple. It's my gift to you and how you get one. Okay. They are my free Prezi to you in a reciprocal exchange of gratitude for a review on the podcast. So if you haven't yet done this, go to Apple. It's very important you go to Apple Podcasts, take a few seconds out of your life, 5 stars, a couple sentences, screenshot that review before you submit it, and then come find me on Instagram and DM that screenshot to me. I've been getting so many messages from you guys, not only you sending me the screenshots and me sending you all of the swag in return, but I've been hearing from you, and you've been sharing with me like where you live and how the show has impacted your life and what your favorite episode was. And it's so meaningful. And I just really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this community. And my swag giveaway is like the one material way I can actually physically show you how much I love you. So thank you in advance for leaving that review. It really does help the show grow. And I cannot wait to see who leaves that review, finds me in the DMs, and we can connect and who wins. All right, you guys. I am so pumped to talk about what we're about to talk about today, because this is the year of the horse. If you have not heard it yet, you have. It's like a broken record. Everyone's talking about it, but you've come to the right place, because we're going to talk about it a little differently today. We're going to talk about how this really relates to who you are being in your business, yes, but in your life. And if you didn't know this, the horse is my power animal. I've talked about this many, many years ago when it was like the Simply Be podcast days. So if you're an OG, you might have remembered this episode. But in 2020, I went to Santa Fe by myself on an alone moon. And I like to call them alone moons instead of honeymoons. You guys get my drift. I highly recommend traveling by yourself. And I had Googled this shaman. Okay. She was on like page 5. She had the janky ass fucking website. You know, that's a legit shaman when you can't find them on page 1 with a gorgeous brand. And I made an appointment with her. And the night before my session with her in Santa Fe, I had a really wild dream, a lucid visitation. I wrote about this in my book, The Light Work. Actually, it's in one of the chapters where I talk about this horse, this black stallion horse that was charging towards me in the middle of a crowded ballroom, and I thought I was going to die. And I was like about to wake up because it felt like a nightmare. And it ran all the way up into my nose, essentially, that we were like staring right into each other's faces. And I instantly felt the purest, most whole body, safest, undying, infinite love for this creature. And I knew that horse was my horse. And I woke up. And the next day I went and saw this shaman, and we did this beautiful, powerful drumming ceremony. There was no medicine involved, completely coherent, but this indigenous woman took me on a journey where I met my power animal and she assigned it to me. And I don't think I'm special. I don't think that's an exclusive experience for me to see myself in this horse, because the way she defined it was powerful, right? I'm here to run free. I'm here to trailblaze and lead and gallop unstoppably into my future and my dreams. And yet there's a shadow side to the horse. It's particular. It can be a little high strung. It can be a little unpredictable. It likes to do its own thing in its own way. It's stubborn. And so I've been really sitting with this in this preparation for this episode. What has been sitting in my body, it's really, really real for me right now. And it's this image of not just the horse, but the fire horse and all of what that means. The fire horse is super wild. She's super powerful. She is freaking fast. There is an intuitive, regenerative magic. Fire burns things. It doesn't just destroy, but it regenerates. And it is deeply, deeply sovereign. And this fire horse, this part of you, is the part of you that cannot be tamed. She is here to run. And this is what is really, really important. A horse without direction doesn't create momentum, okay? It creates chaos. It creates exhaustion. It creates paralysis. And what I see everywhere, honestly, in my community, in my friends, in my past self, to be honest, is that women aren't failing because they lack any talent. They're not moving forward because they're not brilliant. They're stuck because they lack a vision. They lack that clarity of how I'm going to get from A to Z. And they stall. And they stall because I've really identified this. I've worked with thousands of women because they're hiding something, or they're proving something, or they're completely exhausted from carrying the whole damn thing by themselves. And so today, I actually want to introduce you to 3 women. Okay. These are not case studies from a spreadsheet. They're not made up identities. These are women that I work with every day. These are the energetic archetypes that I have identified as women who have the most potential and are blocking themselves every single day. And yes, some of them are going to be uncomfortable maybe to hear. You might see yourself in them. They're certainly uncomfortable. For me, these hit really close. And you might recognize yourself in one of them, and you might recognize yourself in all 3 of them. And sister, I'm telling you right now that this episode is a mirror. It's the safest, most beautiful, shame-free, loving sister-to-sister mirror that you will ever find on a podcast, okay? I really want you to take this in because this is coming from my heart and I want you to feel this, okay? So let's start with the first identity, and her name is the hider. Her core beliefs sound something like this. If I'm seen, I'm going to be judged. And if I'm judged, I'm going to be rejected. And if I'm rejected, I'm going to die. All right. I know so many of you hiders. I see you can't hide from me. This woman is brilliant. I've worked with hundreds of them. They are some of the most deeply intuitive, highly gifted, usually the one that gives the most and everyone comes to for advice. She's that woman in every room. But when it comes to being seen in that, when it comes to being visible, she freezes. She hesitates before she posts anything. And most of the time, she's not posting at all. She softens her language when she sells. She speaks around her own authority versus actually selling and communicating from it. And her business, as a result, has really inconsistent revenue. Her audience, if it's even there, feels completely disconnected. And her energy is scattered because she's always managing what people think of her. She's always managing perception. And as a result of that, she's staying totally invisible. And so here's the root block that I have identified, and I want to name it with you guys cleanly. This is so deep for so many of us. Her nervous system learned somewhere along the way, probably in her ancestral lineage, that's how far it goes back, that visibility equals danger. And so she confuses her own humility at times with hiding. She tells herself, oh, I'll go all in once I feel confident, or I lose the weight, or I have my website perfect, or have enough clients under my belt for all of my right case studies. But what actually shifts her is none of that outside in tangibility, but what happens inside when she realizes that her confidence doesn't come from expressing herself. She learns how to separate safety from silence. She learns how to practice visibility with a regulated system, not force, not pressure, but embodiment, and how to lead with her own devotion of her own heart over her own perfection every day of the week. So what do? We work on her messaging. We work on how to be an embodied leader. We help calibrate her nervous system to hold the capacity to be seen without clinching, embracing, and breaking down. And here's what happens on the other side of the hider. When she removes herself from behind the veil, she learns that her visibility, when she stands in it, she actually feels totally neutral. She knows she's safe. And in fact, it becomes really enjoyable because she sees how much she's impacting people. And that creates this momentum in her heart, that creates this momentum in her business that grows simply because people can find her as her. And her confidence stops being something that she fakes, and it becomes exactly who she is. She stops leaking, finally, all of that energy, worrying about what other people think of her. And her fire horse no longer needs that courage. She just needed the permission. So maybe you saw yourself in the hider, but now we're going to talk about who I know I see myself in a major way, and that is the prover. Okay. Oh my God. Let's talk about my girl, the prover. Okay. This one has very messy, Jessica energy in it because this was me. I'm really like owning it for like 15 years. Okay. And her core belief goes like this: if I just work harder, I will be worthy. And so what does she do? She overgives. She overdelivers. She is a chronic under receiver. She discounts her work. She overworks her body to the bone. She says yes to opportunities that drain her because it's good exposure, or I should be grateful, or I don't want to lose that opportunity because it could make me like an extra dollar. And her nervous system, as a result, is living in total survival mode, even when she's successful. And the root block to all of this is crystal clear. She has tied her self-worth to her output and her output alone. She mistakes her own exhaustion for virtue, and she believes that her suffering earns her success. Money doesn't grow on trees. And my mom still says that to me, right? Work hard. That's how it works. But what really shifts her world is not another strategy. She's taken all the courses. She's read all the books. She's learned how to do the damn thing. It's a completely different type of realization that her worth precedes her wealth. She finally releases the belief that pain is the price of her leadership. And she reclaims her right to rest. I could cry thinking about it because I know what that transition and that unlock and that breakthrough was for me. That I could actually slow down and receive. That I could be paid well without justifying why. And when I work with this woman, we look at all of it now. We look at her pricing and we clean it up. We raise it. We tighten up her boundaries. We show her the lived experience of energetic sovereignty, and we detach the income from her identity. And on the other side of this, guess what happens? I speak from experience too. I'm not going to cry about this one. I'm going to smile. She makes more money with less effort. Her offers are cleaner. Her clients are fewer and far better aligned. I say that if you have aligned clients, you feel like you could do what you do for free. That's how much you love it. Aligned clients are who she attracts. because her nervous system has finally exited survival mode. And she wakes up every single day excited for the gift that it is to do her job. She's no longer bracing. And her fire horse wasn't ever tired because it lacked stamina. It was tired because she was dragging her worth behind her. Okay, now we're going to talk about the third identity. And I love them all. I love her so much. And she's my little friend, the floater. Okay. And whew, I love me a floater. I feel so related to her too. She's a visionary. She's super creative. She has all of these magical ideas. She is one of the most inspired and inspiring people you know. She's always like downloading the new ideas, connected to source, bringing it into the world in her own magical way. But nothing actually feels held because it's not. She's got no systems. She's got no containers. She's got no true structure that supports her growth. And what ends up happening is that her business relies entirely on her own energy. And here is the root block behind my little friend, the floater. She believes that structure will limit her. She doesn't want to be boxed in. She mistakes all of this chaos for creativity. She's like, "Oh, it's supposed to feel like this. I'm just creative. I'm just connected. I'm just a mad scientist." And then she looks around her day to day and she can barely breathe. And so what shifts in her is a reframe that must land deeply in the body. And it is this true understanding that structure is devotion. It's an expression of devotion made visible. So what do? We build systems that protect her energy. We help her hire a team. We create containers around her business that hold her vision. And we build in rhythms into her daily, weekly, monthly workflow that create consistency without the rigidity. And what happens to my little floater on the other side? Well, she becomes anchored. Her business finally feels steady, and her creativity actually begins to flow more, not less. And her nervous system relaxes. She moves from the energetically indulgent, if I may be so honest, woe is me, slightly dramatic princess to a sovereign fucking queen. That's what happens when the floater anchors. Because for the first time in her life, she feels supported by her own company. And her fire horse does not need to slow it down. No, I want her to keep running. I want you to keep running. You just can't keep floating. You need a track. You need a track to run all of that magic on. So let me ask you, which one did you feel like? What came up in your body? It's very obvious what came up in mine. And I want you to really ask yourself, where have you been holding the reins of your business, maybe too tightly or not holding them at all? And I also want to really normalize that it might feel like you're all of them. And that's totally perfect. In fact, that's beautiful. That's the self-awareness you came here for, sister. And I want to remind you especially that none of these women, because I've worked with hundreds of each of them, were ever broken. They were so powerful. They just didn't have the right container for them to thrive. So I want to invite you to a container that's about to change everything. Because here's what all three of these women had in common. None of them shifted alone. None of them were alone in this transformation. They didn't just decide harder. They all entered a container that could hold their upgrades. And this is why I have created the Feminine Wealth Ignite, a completely free, live 3-day global experience for thousands of women across the world happening on February 10th, 11th, and 12th. And this is intentionally scheduled because, of course, why wouldn't I? Right before we cross into the Lunar New Year and step fully into this fire horse energy. And this experience is where I get to go so much deeper with you guys live, okay? We're going to have hot seats and open coaching feedback. Like, this is your time to come and really talk to me so that we can go together deeper on identity and the structure of your business and where your confidence blocks are and where we can create more safety in your nervous system and how you create more wealth creation from that place, because that's the only place that you can. And maybe most importantly, this is the best thing about what I get to do every day. is the community that I have cultivated, all of you. You are not riding alone anymore. You will never, ever feel alone once you step into my world. If you've recognized yourself in any of these women, this is where we get to rise and we get to ride together. Okay? When I rise, you rise, we all rise, sister. That's how it works. It's totally free. It's live. It's the most powerful horse medicine activation of the year, if I don't say so myself. You guys, if you've not been to my live events, you don't know what you're missing. You've got to come. The link is in the show notes. It's totally free. And come ride with us, because your fire horse, no matter where you are in any of these identities, is not here to be tamed or changed or perfected. She's here to lead. And this is our year to do it. So meet me on February 10th, 11th, and 12th at the Feminine Wealth Ignite. You guys, it's going to be so epic, and it's going to be because all of you are there. It is a total co-creation. The energy inside of my beautiful masterclasses and rooms are unlike anything else on the internet, and I stand behind that, and I cannot wait to be with all of you in just a few weeks as we take on this year like the fire horse women that we have always been. Maybe you just forgot. And today, I hope you remembered. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Spiritual Hustler Podcast.